a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Loretta Lynn. Loretta Lynn is an American country music singer-songwriter with multiple gold albums in a career spanning almost 60 years. She is famous for hits such as You Ain't Woman Enough, Don't Come Home A Drinkin', One's on the Way, Fist City, and Coal Miner's Daughter, along with the 1980 biographical film of the same name. Lynn has received numerous awards and other accolades for her groundbreaking role in country music, including awards from both the Country Music Association and Academy of Country Music as a duet partner and an individual artist. She is the most awarded female country recording artist and the only female ACM artist of the decade. Lynn has sold more than 45 million albums worldwide, scored 24 #1 hit singles, and 11 #1 albums. Lynn continues to tour, appear at the Grand Old Opry and release new albums. She is recognized by the strength and quality of her voice still today, as well as her down-to-earth, quick-wit and humor. Early years. Lynn was born Loretta Webb on April 14, 1932 in Butcher Hollow, Kentucky. She is the eldest daughter and second child born to Clara Marie, Clary, and Melvin Theodore, Ted, Webb. Ted was a coal miner and subsistence farmer. The other Webb children, Loretta's father died at age of 52 of black lung disease a few years after he relocated to Wabash, Indiana with wife Clary and his younger children. Path to stardom. On January 10, 1948, 15-year-old Loretta Webb married Oliver Doolittle Lynn. Their life together inspired her music. In 1953, Doolittle bought her a $17 harmony guitar. She taught herself to play the instrument, and over the following 3 years, she worked to improve her guitar playing. With Doolittle's encouragement, she started her own band, Loretta and the Trailblazers, with her brother Jay Lee playing lead guitar. She often appeared at Bill's Tavern in Blaine, Washington, and the Delta Grange Hall in Custer, Washington, with the Penn Brothers Band and the Westerniers. She cut her first record, I'm a Honky Tonk Girl, in February 1960. She became a part of the country music scene in Nashville in the 1960s. In 1967 she had the first of 16 #1 hits. Her later hits include Don't Come Home A Drinkin', You Ain't Woman Enough, Fist City, and Coal Miner's Daughter. Lynn focused on blue-collar women's issues, with themes about philandering husbands and persistent mistresses. Her music was inspired by issues that she faced in her marriage. She pushed boundaries in the conservative genre of country music by singing about birth control, repeated childbirth, double standards for men and women, and being widowed by the draft during the Vietnam War. Country music radio stations often refused to play her music, banning 9 of her songs, but Lynn pushed on to become one of country music's legendary artists. She and contemporaries like Tammy Wynette provided a template for female artists in country music to follow. Her best-selling 1976 autobiography, Coal Miner's Daughter, was made into an Academy Award-winning film of the same title in 1980, starring Sissy Spacek and Tommy Lee Jones, with Spacek winning the Academy Award for Best Actress for her role as Lynn. Her album Van Leer Rose, released in 2004, was produced by the alternative rock musician Jack White. Lynn and White were nominated for 5 Grammys and won 2. Lynn has received numerous awards in country and American music. She was inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1983, the Country Music Hall of Fame in 1988, and the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2008, and she was honored in 2010 at the Country Music Awards. She was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama in 2013. Lynn has been a member of the Grand Ole Opry since joining on September 25, 1962. Her debut appearance on the Grand Ole Opry was on October 15, 1960. Lynn has recorded 70 albums, including 54 studio albums, 15 compilation albums, and 1 tribute album, and over 48 million of her albums have been sold worldwide in her career. Birth, parents and siblings, and famous relatives. Lynn was born in 1932 and raised in the mining community of Butcher Hollow, Van Leer, Kentucky. Loretta was the second of 8 children. She was named after the film star Loretta Young. Ted Webb never got to see his daughter become famous, because he died in 1959 of black lung disease before Loretta's first single, I'm a Honky Tonk Girl, was released the following year. In addition to her famous siblings and children who perform, Lynn is related to the country singer Patty Loveless on her mother's side. She is also related, on her mother's side, to Venus Ramey Mississippi America of 1944. Early adulthood. Webb was 15 when she married 21-year-old Oliver Lynn, known variously as Doolittle, Do, or Mooney. On January 10, 1948, the couple had met only a month earlier. A year later, they left Kentucky and moved to the logging community of Custer, Washington. When Loretta was 7 months pregnant with the first of their 6 children. Children and grandchildren. The Lynns had 4 children by the time Loretta was 19. She gave birth to the 4th child a week before her 20th birthday. Loretta and Doolittle would have twins 12 years later in 1964 to complete the family with 6 children. Lynn has survived 2 of her 6 children. Her second child and eldest son, Jack Benny, died at age 34 on July 22, 1984, while trying to ford the Duck River at the family's ranch in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. Loretta's eldest child, daughter Betty Sue, died at age 64 from emphysema in 2013. Near Loretta's ranch in Hurricane Mills, Lynn became a grandmother at age 34 in 1966, 2 years after her twins were born. She has 27 grandchildren, and 16 great-grandchildren as of August 2017. Before her marriage, she regularly sang at churches and in local concerts in Butcher Hollow, and sang continually to her younger siblings. After marrying, she temporarily stopped singing in public and focused on family life. She passed her love of music on to her children, often singing to them around the house, singing the hymns her mother taught her such as The Great Titanic and In the Pines. Marital problems. The Lynns were married for almost 50 years until Doolittle died at age 69 in 1996. The couple had 6 children, and the marriage was reportedly rocky. In her 2002 autobiography Still Woman Enough and in an interview with CBS News the same year, she recounted how her husband cheated on her regularly and once left her while she was giving birth. She and her husband fought frequently, but she said that, "He never hit me one time that I didn't hit him back twice." Loretta has said that her marriage was one of the hardest love stories. In one of her autobiographies, she recalled, homes. Lynn owns a ranch in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee, billed as the 7th largest attraction in Tennessee, featuring a recording studio, museums, lodging, restaurants, western stores, and other attractions. She normally holds 3 holiday concerts annually at her ranch: Memorial Day weekend, 4th of July weekend, and Labor Day weekend. The ranch where Lynn and her husband raised their children is open for tourists to visit. Since 1982, the ranch has hosted Loretta Lynn's Amateur Motocross National Championship, the world's largest amateur motocross race, in addition to GNCC racing events. The centerpiece of the ranch is her large plantation home. It also features a replica of her parents' cabin in Butcher Hollow. She no longer lives in the plantation home, but lives nearby in a purpose-built house behind the plantation home. Lynn regularly greets fans who are touring the plantation house. During the 1970s, Lynn purchased a home in Mexico. When she wasn't touring, she spent time there with her twin daughters, Patsy and Peggy, and her husband. Lynn and her husband also bought a cabin up in Canada and spent a lot of time there. During the 1980s, after buying the property in the early 1970s as a hunting lodge for Mooney. Health issues? On May 4, 2017, Lynn had a stroke at her home in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. She was taken to a Nashville hospital and was forced to cancel all of her upcoming tour dates. Lynn also delayed the release of her new album Wouldn't It Be Great until 2018, when she would be well enough to promote it. According to her website, she is expected to make a full recovery. On January 1, 2018, Loretta fell and broke her hip. 1960-1966, early country success. Lynn began singing in local clubs in the late 1950s with the help, insistence, and support of her husband. She later formed her own band, The Trailblazers, which included her brother J. Lee Webb. Lynn won a televised talent contest in Tacoma, Washington, hosted by Buck Owens, for which the prize was a wristwatch that broke 24 hours later. Lynn's performance was seen by Canadian Norm Burley of Zero Records, who co-founded the record company after hearing Loretta sing. Zero Records president, Canadian Don Grashey, arranged a recording session in Hollywood, where 4 of Lynn's own compositions were recorded: I'm a Honky Tonk Girl, Whispering Sea, Heartache Meet Mr. Blues, and New Rainbow. Her first release featured Whispering Sea and I'm a Honky Tonk Girl. She signed her first contract on February 2, 1960, with Zero. The material was recorded at United Western Recorders in Hollywood, engineered by Don Blake and produced by Grashey. Musicians backing on the songs were the great steel guitar player Speedy West, Harold Hensley on fiddle, Roy Lanham on guitar, Al Williams on bass, and Muddy Berry on drums. She commented on the different sound of her first record: "Well, there is a West Coast sound that is definitely not the same as the Nashville sound. It was a shuffle with a West Coast beat." The Lynns then toured the country to promote the release to country stations, while Grashey and Delroy took the music to Fox in Long Beach, California. When the Lynns reached Nashville, the song was a hit, climbing to number 14 on Billboard's C&W chart, and Lynn began cutting demo records for the Wilburn Brothers Publishing Company. Through the Wilburns, she secured a contract with Decca Records. From the onset of her career, fans took notice and rallied behind her all the way, with the first Loretta Lynn fan club formed in November 1960. By the end of the year, Billboard magazine listed Lynn as the number 4 most promising country female artist. Lynn's relationship with the Wilburn Brothers and her appearances on the Grand Ole Opry, beginning in 1960, helped Lynn become the number 1 female recording artist in country music. Her contract with the Wilburn Brothers gave them the publishing rights to her material. She was still fighting to regain these rights 30 years after ending her business relationship with them, but was ultimately denied the publishing rights. Lynn stopped writing music in the 1970s because of these contracts. Although Kitty Wells had become the first major female country vocalist during the 1950s, by the time Lynn recorded her first record, only 3 other women, Patsy Cline, Skeeter Davis, and Jean Shepard, had become top stars. Lynn joined the Grand Ole Opry on September 25, 1962. By the end of 1962 it was clear that she was on her way to becoming the 4th star. Lynn has credited Cline as her mentor and best friend during those early years. In 2010, when interviewed for Jimmy McDonough's biography of Tammy Wynette, tragic country queen, Loretta mentioned having best friends in Patsy and Tammy during different times. Best friends are like husbands. You only need one at a time. Lynn released her first Decca single, Success, in 1962, and it went straight to beginning a string of top 10 singles that would run through the rest of the decade and throughout the next. She was a hard honky-tonk singer for the first half of the 1960s and rarely strayed from the genre. During this time, Lynn soon began to regularly hit the top 10 after 1964, with songs such as Before I'm Over You, which peaked at number 4, followed by Wine, Women, and Song, which peaked at number 3. In late 1964, she recorded a duet album with Ernest Tubb. Their lead single, Mr. and Mrs. Used to Be, peaked within the top 15. Together, the pair recorded 2 more albums, Singin' Again, and If We Put Our Heads Together. In 1965, her solo career continued, with 3 major hits: Happy Birthday, Blue Kentucky Girl, and The Home You're Tearing Down. Lynn's label issued 2 albums that year, Songs from My Heart, and Blue Kentucky Girl. While most were top 10 country hits, none reached Lynn's first self-penned song to crack the top 10. 1966's Dear Uncle Sam was among the very first recordings to recount the human costs of the Vietnam War. In the latter half of the decade, although she still worked within the confines of honky-tonk, her sound became more personal, varied, and ambitious, particularly lyrically. Beginning with 1966's number 1 hit in Cash Box, You Ain't Woman Enough, Lynn began writing songs with a feminist viewpoint, which was unheard of in country music. This song made Lynn the first country female recording artist to pen a number 1 hit. Brought to you by WikiVidi documentaries. Would you like to know more?